The core idea is that you as a human are built to serve. We all want to serve. We want to feel like today is going to matter to somebody else. Like everybody wants to wake up and feel like you're going to make something today that's going to make a difference somewhere.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Rewire Your Life podcast. I'm Dr. Alok Trivedi, aka Dr. Rewire. Today I have a super exciting guest that I'm excited to share with you. We come from the same land, the motherland, Toronto. He's born and bred in Toronto. He's an amazing individual. He's run companies. He's been called the venture capital. He's been called the modern day Napoleon Hill. He's been featured all over the media. He's got a YouTube channel with 300 million viewers. Wrote 4 books, speaks globally. He's an amazing individual and shares his wisdom to help people and entrepreneurs become amazing leaders. Please help me welcome Evan Carmichael. Evan, thanks for being here, man.
I love it, man. And now I'm here. This is great.
That's exciting, man. So let's dive into you started as an entrepreneur as a young guy. Like you didn't do this you're not old. You're a young dude. You started entrepreneurial as a young man. How did that journey begin for you?
So growing up, I had a lot of entrepreneurial tendencies. Baseball cards and garage sales, and the Blue Jays won the World Series in 92 and 93.
Oh my God, Joe Carter.
Joe Carter.
That moment is epic, right?
Joe Carter, Roberto Alomar. I got some of the signed baseballs behind me. I got Kelly Gruber, Roberto Alomar.
Oh, Kelly Gruber, that's right.
And there was also the height of like baseball card mania, and I was 12, 13 years old. So I was really into doing my own little side hustle stuff, but also, I'm 42 now, right? So back then, entrepreneurship wasn't a thing. So I didn't know I would be an entrepreneur. My high school yearbook says I'm going to be a banker. Where are you going to be in 10 years? Banker. Yeah. And luckily, I connected with 2 entrepreneurs who had started a company in university, and they asked me to join. And that was the hardest decision of my life. It was like, do I go take the jobs at McKinsey and Merrill Lynch and 6 figures out of school and traveling around the world and doing mergers and acquisitions, like the dream job, or have 30% of a company and make $300 a month and live the startup life, which I didn't even know what that meant. But I just didn't want to live with regret. And so I figured, I didn't know if it would work out or not, but I figured at least I'd try, because if I didn't at least try, I would regret not knowing. And luckily it ended up working out. We struggled for the first bit and then had some success, became a venture capitalist, then started speaking and sharing in YouTube. And now I'm here.
There you go. So amazing, dude. Let me ask you this, because, a lot of people talk about this, like in entrepreneurialism, like everyone talks like as if everyone's going to become successful, right? That's just not the truth though. And like, I'd like to talk a little bit of reality of this as well, right? Because, there's the whole grind it out, be bigger, be more, chase it and all that, which is great. Only 5% of the people ever make it. So like when you're going into this decision, you're 22, 23 years old saying, hey, look, I don't know if this is going to work. Was there a thought process of a contingency? Like if this doesn't work out, then like, was that part of your thinking, or was there like none of that? Just I'm going all in.
No. I'm also not that much of a risk taker. Which a lot of entrepreneurs, you don't have to be the biggest risk taker of all time to have success. There's a lot of them who take calculated risks. But I had the voice of Jeff Bezos and Michael Dell in my head. Jeff Bezos he has a regret minimization framework, which is basically try not to live life with regrets. And I realized I would regret this if I didn't at least try. And Michael Dell he was building Dell. He was in a Texas university going to become a doctor, and he started Dell from his dorm room. And his parents wanted him to complete his degree and become a doctor. And he asked them for a semester off. Like if I can just do it in the semester, or maybe it was just that summer, and prove that it works, I'm going to run this as my company. And so I like that if it didn't work out, he can always come back to med school, So for me, I said, I'll have a year. I'm going to give myself a year. In graduating, some of my friends were taking a year off or traveling or backpacking across Europe or whatever. I thought, I'm going to give myself a year. And if it doesn't work out, I can get another job. It may not be Merrill Lynch and McKinsey that I was looking at. It could be something else, but I can get another-ish job. And so that was my plan. 1 year, I have a backup plan, but commit to it so that if it doesn't work out, at least I can say I gave it my all for that year.
So let me ask you this now: has that business psychology translated in all the businesses you do? Like, okay, I'm going all in. A lot of people say I'm going all in and just burn the bridges. There's no backup plan. Is this a consciousness and a psychology that you hold on to today now as you're building businesses and growing that as well?
I think it's maybe more a personality thing.
Yeah.
It's like to quit smoking. Do you use Nicorette and wean yourself off, or do you just go cold turkey and just stop? I liked small tests and just experimenting. So even before I went all in on YouTube, it wasn't just I decided YouTube is the thing and I'm just going to go all in on that. I played with it. I experimented. I made a video and it might have been a couple months until I made the next video, until I really loved it and found how I could win. And then it became something much bigger. So instead of making it some giant thing that I have to go all in on, I'll do the exact opposite and make the first step so small and dumb and easy, and just see that I like it. Like, I sucked at YouTube and I was introverted and shy and all sorts of issues, but I kind of liked it. And so, like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know how I'm going to make money doing this yet, but I liked it. And so it gave me the reason to come back and keep doing it until now. I'm very much all in on it. But at the beginning, I almost never go all in on anything at the beginning. It's a quick start. It's a test. It's a taste. It's a try. And then if I can figure out how to match, like, that's the hard thing. Did you like doing it? Was it fun? And then if I can connect it to my brain to say, okay, how can I turn that fun thing into something that could actually be something that makes money, a business? That's when I go all in.
I love that psychology. And I think there's, neurologically, if you think about it, it's such a powerful way to do it, because a lot of times people will go all in, but what they're doing is they're not being objective and they're not really looking at it emotionally objective. And they say, I'm all in, they're blind, they're up, they're positive on the upside, they're blind to the downside. And what they do is they get chaotic because of that. And you can't manage something that you're imbalanced with, but you've figured out how to make the process just a little risk, so there's not this gigantic risk. And then you're able to move yourself into it. But then when you go all in, it's a calculated all in. That's the key, I think, from what I'm hearing from you.
And I think people also, a lot of times when they go all in, they end up just running out of runway. Yeah. Like, they go all in, they quit I'm going to quit my job and I'm just going to go all in and do this thing. And then it doesn't work out fast enough for them. And so they have to shut down their business and go back to being an employee or do something else that they may not enjoy. Whereas your business idea could have worked out if you just kept going a little bit longer. And it's, at least for me, it's okay to start on the side. I think it's even ideal. Start on the side, part-time, evenings, weekends, etc., and build momentum to the point where you can afford to quit your job and then go all in on it. So I think people quit on businesses before it has momentum. And that could have been a great business, but you just had to stop because you ran out of money because you went all in too soon.
So let me ask you this. The biggest business blunder you ever recovered from, what would you say that would be?
That I ever had to recover from?
Yeah.
Quitting on my business partner. So the worst day of my life was, so we started the company, I was 19, 20 was, that whole year was hard because I thought it was going to be easier than it was. And I made it hard on like, I didn't tell anybody I was struggling. When my friends who had all the jobs I wanted were asking me how I was doing, like, oh, I'm hustling, I'm living the entrepreneur life, but really it's like, I'm struggling, I'm making no money. So I made it really insular and hard on myself to the point where I quit. Like, I told my business partner I quit. We're at some family function and we were disagreeing over what to do next. And like, I quit. I can't do this. Like, I need to feel like I'm a valuable human being. Because it wasn't because I wasn't putting an effort in. Like, if you don't put in effort and you don't get results, it's okay. But when you're working every day and you don't get results, it starts to take its toll on you as a human. It's like,
Sure.
I suck. And so I quit. I was frustrated. I quit. My mom came up and tried to console me. I had stuff kind of in my nose, my eyes. Like, it was just terrible day. And then I just woke up the next day and said, I can't quit yet. If I quit now, I'm going to regret it. But I can't keep doing the things the way I'm doing. I have to find a different way to stand. And I still had at least like a toe left in the pond. Like, okay, like that, let's give it my all for just a little bit longer. And then that's when I made a shift to be able to figure out how to turn the business around. But I quit on my business partner for a day and luckily was able to come back the next day.
Do you think you would have been able to come up with that shift unless you actually hit that rock bottom? Like, do you think psychologically you could have come back, or did you have to hit that rock bottom, quit, to say, you know what, almost get a resense of vigor?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, that's what ended up happening to me. But if I knew you back then, maybe you could have given me some good advice. Like maybe I didn't have to hit rock bottom. I think that's for anybody who's had success who want to give back. Like even, why do this show? You've had success, you want to give back. Our hope is that people can learn from my story, from your story, from the other guests you've had on, can learn from their stories. That they don't have to hit the same rock bottom that we may have. My hope is that they don't have to. My hope is that you can learn from my story and how I hit rock bottom so that you don't have to. But I don't know. I didn't, that was the only experience I had. I didn't have any mentors or guides. I didn't know what I was doing. And so, I wish you were around or your show was around when I was 19. It would have saved me a lot of headache.
A lot of headache. I think we all have to go, but here's the thing. I think we all got to go through, right? I think I've gone through my ups and downs and that journey, and I've quit on myself. We all kind of get to this place where we quit on ourselves. I think it's part of the entrepreneurial journey that nobody wants to talk about inside of it. How long did it take you from the startup to the point of saying yes to the point of actually monetizing and making money inside your business? And like, this is a realistic question, like for people who want it overnight. It's not overnight.
Yeah, my YouTube journey was a lot longer. I was 5 years in on making YouTube content and still had 7,000 subscribers or something, or maybe less. I don't remember. It's really low. I put my numbers on my website so people can see how long it took to kind of get going. But in that first business, it was a year of not making any money, right? Like $300 a month. Every sale we made, we'd go celebrate, and we'd go to McDonald's and just get a large fries and share them because we couldn't afford the whole meal. It was really, slim pickings at the beginning. And then it was in that shift. So when I hit rock bottom and I quit on my partner, the question I asked myself the next day is like, okay, I don't want to quit because I might regret it, but I can't keep doing the same thing because it's not working. So I then asked myself, well, who has done this before? Who's built a software company before?
Yeah.
And it sounds like such a basic question, but I didn't know. I didn't know. I'm 19, or I guess I'm 20 at this point. I just didn't know. And I thought of Bill Gates. He was the only guy I could think, like, Bill Gates started a company. Cool. How did he do it? And I looked up Microsoft, the early days, not how he makes an extra million now, but like 0 to 1. That's what I wanted to figure out. I thought $1 million, like, oh my gosh, I'm rich for life if I make $1 million, right? And it was through partnerships. Microsoft, they grew through partnerships. Their big deal came with IBM, where IBM used to be the number one computer maker in the world. Every IBM shipped had Microsoft software on it. And that's what blew the company open. But they were already a $7 million company when they made the deal with IBM. That's not a huge company, but still 7 million more than I had.
Right.
So I had to go from 0 to 7 million, still partnerships, just on a smaller scale. So I thought, okay, who can I partner with? Who's the company that I can connect with? And I started now doing outreach to potential partners. And the first deal I landed shortly after was with a company in the UK to help distribute our software in Europe. And I made a deal for $13,500 upfront that they had to pay us for the licensing across Europe. And that was, oh my gosh, dude, I'm rich.
Right?
$13,500. I am rich. This is insane. And I mean, it was money. It was more money than I had seen before. So that was great. When you're making $300 a month, 13.5K in one shot is awesome. And more importantly, it gave me a strategy I can keep using. So that was only one deal. I can make another deal and another deal, another part. And just, I built through making a bunch of partnership deals. And then we started expanding across the world. We started getting NASA and Johnson & Johnson and big customers using our software that then pretty quickly after that scaled up, sold. But it was I need to find a different way to stand and be able to model success. So when I tried to do everything by myself, I failed. When I had a model or when I had a mentor, it just worked out a lot easier. And so that's why I then created the content and the channel and the show and everything else to try to, even if it's remote, I still haven't met Bill Gates. When I do, I'll tell him, thank you for saving my company.
Yeah, right.
And so you never know who you're hitting with the content, which is why I'm so passionate now about helping people, even like yourself, like, how do we get your story out to the world? Because what you've been through and your advice might be the difference between somebody quitting or somebody having massive success.
Sure, absolutely. Speaking of that and success and growth, you have a beautiful book that you've written called Built to Serve. What does that statement mean to you? What does that statement mean for an entrepreneur inside that path?
The core idea is that you as a human are built to serve. We all want to serve. We want to feel like today is going to matter to somebody else. Like everybody wants to wake up and feel like you're going to make something today that's going to make a difference somewhere. And you and I, we want to serve the world. We have big goals, big impact. Some people, like my wife, just want to serve the 25 closest people to her. But we all want to wake up and feel like we're going to make a difference in somebody's life somehow. Like doing it for ourselves is not enough. It has to be to serve. And they did functional MRIs on people's brains, and they found that serving or helping other people hits the same part of your brain as having food and having sex. Right. So it's like literally, which are also pretty important as humans. So it's like hardwired into you that you want to serve and help. But most people have no idea how. And they're stuck and they're struggling. And so that was the idea with the book Built to Serve. But also it's just, if you ever feel low or down, your listeners, your viewers that feel low or down, it's because you're not helping contribute to somebody else's life. Like it's really hard to feel down when you also feel like you've helped somebody else out. Yeah. And so now that becomes a path of, hey, let's turn this into, it doesn't mean everybody has to go be an entrepreneur, but there's always a way to serve and to help other people. And I think that's a big remedy for people. If you're low, if you're depressed, if you've got, you wake up and you feel there's no point to showing up today somewhere. It's like, well, because you don't feel like you're serving anybody. So that's the missing ingredient that you need to add in.
And you add, let me add to this, because you talk a lot about big whys too, and what, the big why involved inside of it. Now, when you look at it, like, what's the big why for you? Why do you want to serve the impact in the world? And I'm using this as a form of inspiration for other people who are watching, because maybe they haven't built a software company. Maybe they haven't, done that. But like, what is the inspiration that makes your why so big? After having all this success, why keep doing it? That's the ultimate answer.
I think ultimately your purpose comes from your pain. So whatever you struggled with as a human is what you want to help other people through. So I struggled so much as 19-year-old Evan to get his company off the ground, to believe in himself, to just have self-worth that what am I doing now? Like being on this show, the content that I make on YouTube, the books that I write, it's still to help 19-year-old Evan. And there are millions of people right now who are 19-year-old Evan, and I'm making the content for them. And so for anybody trying to figure out their purpose or their why, just think about, what did you struggle the most with? What have you come through? You've been through things, you've been through struggles, and you've been through trauma. And if you were to go back and talk to younger you, there's a lot that you could share. Well, recognize that there are millions of people right now who currently are younger you, and they don't know what to do, and they feel lost and hopeless, and they don't have a guide or mentor or role model. You could be that person. And that's where sharing the story becomes so important, because people will learn from you where they may not learn from me, or they may not learn from Tony Robbins or Oprah Winfrey or whoever, because your journey is exactly what they are struggling with right now. And the fact that you overcame it where I haven't, they're more willing to listen to you.
It's completely true. And this is kind of why you started Good Karma Projects, right?
Yeah. So some of our Good Karma projects are listed on the website, whether it's free training that I'm doing, or the charity work we're doing with Kiva to help entrepreneurs in Africa, or just live streams or live coaching on Instagram for free, or some of the challenges is that just want to be able to serve on a bigger scale. That I knew how important learning from mentors. We have some similar friends, and they've taught me a whole lot in person, which has been fantastic. But I've learned a lot from people who I've never met and haven't met yet, and will never meet because they've passed. But I know how much those lessons have meant to me and saved me. And so I'm just trying to be that voice for some people as well. And I mean, I know you are, and our friends as well, that have making the videos or doing the live streams or doing the free coaching helps one person, that makes all the difference.
It's completely true. When you look at business and you look at entrepreneurship, did you ever struggle with the quandary? And I know I personally have. I remember going through this myself. It's like you struggle with the idea of family, and trying to, be in a family and being in a relationship and having a personal life, and running a company and organization and building that. Like, how did you, I don't know if you've ever, A, have you struggled with that? And B, how did you navigate that for yourself? And what was the rationale and thinking that you went through inside that? if you did?
Yeah. The hardest thing I had was, so my wife now works with me in my company, which makes it actually a lot easier and better. I love working with friends. I love working with family. It just, if you can communicate well, I think it's so much more fun and better than separately. But before Nina came into the company, I have a very low need to explain my day. You know, it's like, how was your day? Like, oh, I don't know. It's like, like telling.
It's like my son. Yeah, how's your day? It was good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. You know, like, so I don't, if I have a problem, I want to solve the problem. I don't want to complain about the problem or talk about the problem unless, like, if I had a problem and you could solve it, I'm going to say, hey man, can you help me with this?
Yeah.
But if I can't solve the problem, then just talking about it's not going to help. It just makes things worse. So I have no need to talk about my day or what's going on. And my wife was always curious. Oh, how was your day? What happened today? And I had to force myself to reflect back on the day because it was important to her. And so, not that it led to arguments, but it led to a disconnection because she didn't feel as connected to me because I wasn't sharing about my day. And I first just thought of it as, well, I don't need to. Like, this is a waste of time. Only later realizing, oh, even if it's not important for me, it's important for her.
Right.
So I had to then, before she came home every day, think about, okay, what happened today? You know, okay, I was on this podcast and I was on this show and I talked to so I would have my list kind of ready to share with her. Now she's in the business. And so she understands a lot more about what we're doing every day. And she helps run. We've got 42 people and she's in charge of hiring and maintaining the team and all that. So there's a lot more to talk about. But also when something goes wrong or when I have to deal with something, she also understands how important it is because she's in the business, as opposed to being like, if you don't say anything, you don't share what's happening in your company, and then some urgent thing happens and you have to be taken away to go do that thing, it just can put a huge strain on a relationship because all that they can see is that you're off working and not with them. But now when she actually understands how important this thing is that I'm dealing with, it makes it just a lot easier. Okay, yeah, you need to go do, like she's telling me, go do that thing. You have to go do that thing now because it's important for the company. I know a lot of people don't like working with family or friends. It's been how I've operated the most. You know, I love working with family and friends. And yeah, bringing my wife in has been just an awesome decision.
I personally love it myself. I think it's an amazing opportunity to be able to connect and grow and build something outside of yourself, right? And I think I love working with friends. I love having a common goal and common path towards it. I think it's a great opportunity to do it. How long have you been married?
10 years in October. So like coming up.
10 years in October in the relationship side. Now, when you're thinking about the kind of where Evan's going, the trajectory of Evan wants to go, let me ask you this. Like, what is it you think about, like the steps you're going towards inside of it? How do you want to build it? Then I want to move into some more tactical things. I know I've been talking big picture with you today.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start big picture, then move into tactics.
So I'm more about like mission. So like I'm trying to solve the world's biggest problem. People don't believe in themselves enough. Yeah. And I'm never going to solve that problem. And I wake up every day trying to solve that problem. People need to rewire, right? To the name of the show. I love it. Yeah. I'm not a 10-year goal person. Like I have no idea where I'm going to be in 10 years. If you asked me 10 years ago where I'd be, I don't know. I have a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube. You know, I would never say I'd be here. And so it's much more, it's something that there's wrong with goals. It's just often you need to jump off your long-term goal because there's a better goal in front of you. So as of what I'm doing right now, I've got a new book coming out about momentum. I'm speaking.
Tell us about momentum.
Momentum. Yeah. I mean, the thing that I found is the biggest thing most people is missing is just momentum. So we've got ideas. You've got the heart. You've got the soul. You've got the capability. You've got most of the things that you need. Most people have most of the things that they need, and they're just sitting on the couch, overanalyzing, overthinking, being overscared, being a perfectionist. Yeah. And all they're missing is momentum. So it's the book guides people through how do you start getting the momentum, like the mindset shifts around momentum. How do you start taking the first steps towards momentum? How do you maintain the momentum once you start it? So it's not just start and stop and start and stop and start. And then some of the more achiever, harder things to grasp is the last section of the book for the people who really want to dive deep that most people don't understand.
But what do you mean by that? Like that you're just baiting me now. What do you mean by that? The deeper, harder things that most people don't understand. Like, tell me something.
Well, okay. So, well, here, so behind me, I've got a bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a big bag. Like it looks small in my camera, but this is a big bag of Doritos. So one of my strategies is called Damn the Doritos. And people ask me, like, why does Doritos sponsor your video? Because they're behind you in every shot. And like, why don't you do a healthy snack or something? Like, it's really bad branding. It's like, if Doritos knew why I had this bag up, they'd never want to support my channel. And when people are on a diet, the number one advice that you often get is get rid of all the junk food from your house. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a great step. It's like, it's a crutch. Like, if you break your leg, you go on crutches. The problem, at least for me, so this is not prescriptive advice because people have a hard time getting it. The problem for me is I don't like making decisions that make me feel weaker. And in my head, it's that, oh, I can't be around Doritos. And so I need to get it out of the house. What ends up happening? You go on a cruise ship, you go to an office party, you go somewhere, and then you just destroy everything because you've trained yourself that you can only stick to your plan when you're in your perfect environment.
Right.
So when I realized that, it's like, okay, no, like, damn the Doritos. I'm going to have this bag in front of me, and even holding it, my mouth is watering. I want to eat this whole thing. I'm fasting right now. I haven't eaten, in 20 hours plus, and I want to eat this whole bag. But damn the Doritos. And so I want to have it as a visual reminder to myself that I'm stronger than the Doritos. And that's a weird one for people to pick up. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. But at the beginning, when you break your leg, you go on crutches. But the idea is not to be on crutches forever. The idea is to run, right? Like, to heal and to run. And so it's a good short-term strategy, at least for me. But longer term, I want to be able to be around it. So I'll go when I'm in grocery stores, and you see all the candy and the Doritos, and I'll like film Instagram stories, like yelling at the candy. So, I'm stronger than you, sour peaches. I'm stronger than you, Doritos and Oreos. And in the US, oh my gosh, the number of Oreo flavors is insane.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
It's insane. Here we've got Oreos. It's just Oreo and like levels of cream, of thin or extra cream,
and chocolate and cookies.
It's insane. It's just crazy. And you look, it's like, it's a whole aisle dedicated to Oreos, and I just want to eat all of it. So I'll film an Instagram story kind of pointing at the Oreos, telling them and my audience that I'm stronger than the Oreos. So it's a weird thing, but like, looking at this bag reminds me, in my head, I'm telling myself I'm awesome, that I'm not opening this bag and eating the whole thing. So I've got a bunch of weird things that most people don't believe is an easy concept to understand. It's like, feel good, awesome. This is a little more achiever oriented that most people don't connect with.
No, I love that. Actually, I tell people all the time. Like, I remember at a client one time, I was rewiring him, and he came to me and he had a problem with alcohol, and I said, he's like, doc, I've done training, I've gone to AA, I've done all these things before, and I said, great, okay, that's fantastic, and I said, okay, great. So if someone puts a drink in front of you, I'm like, do you resist it? He's like, oh yeah. He goes, it's hard. He goes, I said, do you crave it? Do you want it? And he said, yeah, I do. And he said, but I have the willpower to stop it. I said, I'm going to rewire you so much that I can put a drink of alcohol in front of you, and I can leave it in front of you, and you will choose not to have it. And because you don't need it. It won't be a need and a resistance that you have to create on it. It'll simply be a fact that you're choosing, because you get to choose your life, which is exactly what you're saying, is that you've created the conscious will and the determination and the discipline to choose your life, which is, I think, one of the most powerful skills that we can attain.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, and so that manifests in a bunch of ways. So it's like, there's the Doritos bag, there's the alarm clock, right? When people say, don't have the alarm, like, put the alarm clock in the kitchen, so that you have to get up and go to the kitchen and turn it off. I hate that. It means, like, I'm basically every night telling myself I am not capable to turn off the phone and just get up, or turn off the alarm and get up.
Yep.
Right. And so any of those decisions that at least for me make me feel weak instead of strong, I want to try to show myself that I'm stronger than it. I'm nervous versus I'm excited, right? A lot of my contemporaries will say, if you're going to get on stage, you're not nervous, you're excited. Tell yourself you're excited, because it's the same sensations. Your palms get sweaty, your heart beats faster. Just say you're excited, and it'll let you go off. Like, I want to say I'm nervous, and then tell myself that I do the things that make me feel nervous. Like, I step into nervous. So again, it's like that's more achiever strategies and talk. A lot of people have a hard time connecting to those things. So that's why it's the last chapter in the book or the last section.
I eat that stuff up. I'm not gonna lie. I'm all about that as well. It's like, don't tell me I can't do something. Like if something is controlling anything that I need in my life, I have to put a control on. Like, example, I'm here sitting here and sipping on this, and I'm not drinking coffee. People think it's coffee, but it's not coffee. We found this thing that's like it's like mushrooms and that inside of it. It's not really coffee inside of it, because I don't drink. I stopped caffeine because I realized in the same way that I felt I needed caffeine in order to live. And I said, if I need something, that means I'm disempowered to that thing. So I said, I'm stopping that instead. I went through 3 days of treacher and torror, and I said, I'm done. But I'm not going to live that way, because if I need it, then I'm no longer in power. I'm not empowered to it. Something else has power over me. Same type of conscience, same type of thinking. That I think was what you're saying, Evan, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I love it. And there's definitely the chasm to cross, to jump into the growth mindset or achiever mindset. And when I'm talking to the world, is usually believe and they need encouragement, and all they're missing is momentum. And it's like they make their first video. It's like, you did it. Amazing. Congrats. Like, keep going, because they're too harsh and too critical on themselves. Yeah. But the achievers are more, if you make a video, it's not like, okay, yes, good job. Like, go make, you're like, how do I fix it? What microphone
do I get?
Man. Yeah, make me better. What's wrong with my thumbnail? It's only the, like, how do I make this better? And you want the blunt, like, honest truth, not having it sugar coated, where most people, they need the hugs and encouragement. And so I play in both fields. When I'm helping most people, it's, you did your first video, amazing, that's so great. And when I'm helping our achiever friends, like, okay, dude, this sucks. Like, okay, we got to fix this. And but it's like, that's the actual love, because that's what they want, because they don't want the time. If you have half an hour with somebody, they don't want 15 minutes of praise. I'm like, I don't care. Why are you here? Don't just pat my ego. Like, tell me how I fix this and grow. Yeah. So the last section of the book is more that achiever strategies and tools that most people have a hard time connecting to.
I love
Maybe
it.
Not this show and your audience, but that's what it's all about.
I love it. I think these people that listen to this, they're of that mindset. They know that I'm a pretty cut the BS kind of guy. I'm a straight shooter. I tell it how it is. If you don't like it, that's on you. You got to toughen up inside it. So that's where I come from. So it's really cool. Let's talk a little tactical stuff, right? Like, just as when you're helping people with YouTube and helping people make their videos and grow you're like the number one YouTube consultant that there is inside and stuff. And you've helped my growth and my channel and what we're doing. And hopefully, it's, in our world, trying to make that happen. But I guess, what's the biggest thing that people can do to, I guess, increase their followership? And why do people want to follow someone, in your opinion?
Yeah. So, my expertise is inside of entrepreneurship, education, thought leadership, personal development. That's what I'm great at. If you wanted to do a slime channel or Minecraft right. or something, I'm not the guy. And I've, helped a bunch of our friends and I guess some pretty big name people in growing. I always start with what is the business that you're trying to promote first. So most people, the goal, at least that I work with, the goal isn't just to be an influencer. Yeah. It's like, you have a business. Cool. What's your business model? How can we use YouTube to help you grow your business, as opposed to just getting a certain number of followers? So that's great. Like, let's tie it to KPIs of the company, of what we're trying to accomplish. The next step then becomes, what is easy and fun content for you to make? So for some people, actually for most people, direct to camera stuff when you're by yourself in a studio is usually the hardest content to make.
Okay.
It's the most boring. It's the most nerve-wracking. People get perfect over having their script all done. And it takes them forever to get a video out the door. Most people. Where most people typically shine is with somebody else. So either in an interview format like this, or you're coaching. If you're gonna Dr. Rewire people, the easiest content to make is actually to have people come on with a problem, and then you rewire them.
Sure.
And then that's the show. And for that, you don't need any prep work. You don't, because you're good at what you do, right? This is the caveat. Like, you have to actually be good, which is a strong caveat, because if you're not good, then doing live coaching and helping somebody falls apart. This is where most people struggle. Like, if you're coming from Instagram to YouTube and you don't have a lot of experience, people are afraid to do it because they don't want to get exposed, because they don't actually know how to rewire somebody, right? They can make a 20-second Instagram reel, all hype and promotional. But then when it actually gets to helping them, they don't know what to do.
You got to have the goods.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a huge caveat, right? But like someone like you, that's the easiest leverage, where somebody can just show up and say, hey, I'm struggling with blank. And you can then just help them. And you don't need them to fill out a 20-page questionnaire in advance or do any prep work, because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's usually the easiest type of content to make, where most people are defaulting to having to do thought leadership and come up with their 3 ways to XYZ. And then it just takes them forever to get any content out the door. And it's usually fun because you're actually helping somebody. It's like, hey, here's a human who's struggling with the alcohol addiction or whatever else. And then you can help them through it. You feel good because you help somebody. And then you have content to put up on your social channels. Mm-hmm. So that's usually some of the work. It's like, what would actually be fun and effortless for you to do, as opposed to, if it feels like work every time you have to come into the studio and press record, it's just really hard to keep going on it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I know, I can tell you personally, there's been moments in the way that we've done things that I felt that's like, I don't really want to do it this way. We have to amend and change and say, look, okay, what's going to be more fun for me to do? My team tries to help figure that out. Say, what's going to make him more entertained? What's going to keep him engaged? And I'm grateful that I've got a great team that sees that in me. It's like, if I'm not inspired by it, right? When people are building these channels and building these businesses using YouTube, I guess, what is the biggest downfall that people make inside of it? And what's the biggest upside that people make with YouTube?
The biggest downfall is they just don't make consistent content. They're just not, they have ambitions and ideas and plans, and it's awesome and they get excited, but then they just don't stay consistent on it. A lot of times because either there's no business case for it yet, which is why I always try to reverse engineer. What's your business? Because most of the people I help, their goal isn't just to have X number of subscribers. They want to grow their business. So let's tie it into that. Or 2, it's not fun. They just don't like doing it. That they're doing it solo. They're stressed out. It feels like when they see it on their calendar and they're like, oh. And for successful entrepreneurs, like, the good thing is we don't have to do a lot of the things in our calendar that go, right? You're not some job that you're forced to do it. And so people don't end up doing it. The biggest upside is whatever you are selling right now, education comes in front of it. People want to learn. And so YouTube allows you to teach at scale. YouTube is now the place that people go to learn. If they want to learn how to rewire themselves, where are they going? The library? They're going to talk to their mom? Like, where are they going? Yeah. They're going to YouTube to figure it out, right? Education, where Instagram and TikTok and other platforms it's more inspiration, but it's not education. People will go to YouTube and watch a 3-hour-long video on how to rewire themselves, right? So people are going for education. The content lives forever. So the videos you make now in 6 months, a year, 6 years is still getting you views, interest, awareness. You can monetize it. So you make money from the videos, unlike the other platforms that don't pay you. And you can clip it up so that the highlight moments, here, we have this show. Awesome. Hopefully I said a few things that are good.
Hopefully I did too, that people want to hear it.
Yeah, you can clip it, and that becomes, how can you be everywhere? Like someone like you don't want to be a full-time influencer. So how do you be on all platforms? Well, you just make long form YouTube content and then cut it up to go to all the different platforms. So example, like, how do you tie in something that's fun and that also ties into your business? If you have a book or if you have a membership program, cool. You can reward people who sign up for the membership program or who come back for a second year with a one-on-one with you. Yeah. So they're coming back for year 2. They can't get access to you normally. It's too expensive. You don't do it, but you're going to do a 25-minute call with them, Zoom call with them, on the caveat that it's also going to be a YouTube video, so people can learn from their story. If you're doing a book launch and you want to sell some books, I've just helped 2 people go through this. One is a New York Times bestseller. The other guy is like launching his next book, and they're planning all sorts of these campaigns where you give away access. So if they buy 1,000 books, they get time with you. Cool. Do that, but tie it to a YouTube video so that instead of it just being your time for money exchange, it also gives you content, because it allows you to talk about the thing without talking about the thing. So it's not a sales pitch for the book, but it becomes an awesome sales pitch for the book or the membership program, because they're going to come on and you're going to say, oh, here's Johnny. He just bought 1,000 copies of my book. Thank you, Johnny. And part of that, we do a live together or a coaching session. How can I help? he's going to say, oh my God, your book. I'm so excited to read it. I just got 1,000 copies. So now like, we're talking about the book, right? But nobody would watch a sales pitch for the book. But now we're going to sell a lot of books because Johnny's bought it. He's sharing his experience. And then we're going to dive into a coaching call. Whatever Johnny's struggling with, you're going to help him rewire that. So it's fun, hopefully. Like if you don't like people or like coaching or like helping, well, that's a different problem. But it's fun. But we're tying it to a business objective because now we get to also promote our book or our membership or whatever the thing is that ultimately we want to sell.
Why did you decide to like go all into YouTube? What was the reason that you decided? Like you've already been successful, but why YouTube of all things? Like it's kind of a question I've wondered about you for so long. It's like, why that? Why that engine?
I'm a visual learner. I like seeing things.
Yeah.
And even if this was an audio only podcast, like the fact that I can see you makes it easier for me. If it was audio only, I'd be like closing my eyes and just having to hyper focus because it's not how I really consume. So I listen to 0 podcasts, but I'm on a bunch of them as a guest.
Yeah.
So when I started in 2009, YouTube was the only visual platform. Nobody was posting videos to other places. It was the only place to be. So that's where I was. Not because I knew it was going to happen. Nobody had 1 million subscribers in 2009. I made a 6-minute video and people were telling me how it was too long and nobody was going to watch it. And I don't understand how the internet works and all this stuff. So it's obviously changed. But at the time, it was the only visual platform. And then over time, it's become the educational platform. And what I'm great at is education and thought leadership and entrepreneurship. And so I'm not the most entertaining person. I'm not like into gags and pranks and stupid things, right? That's not what I love creating or consuming. So as other platforms kind of evolved to just lean in on those things, YouTube became more and more and more education. Now there's still, YouTube is such a big platform. There's everything. There's music videos, there's slime stuff. There's all of that stuff on there too, but it also is the only place for long form video education. And nobody's come up with anything even close. Instagram had IGTV that was supposed to be the YouTube killer. And like, yes, amazing. This is cool. But nobody used it.
Yeah.
Nobody goes to Instagram and it's going to sit there and watch an hour-long video. It's just not the mindset of people coming in. So until something else comes up, I'm not attached to YouTube having to always be the thing. In 15 years, we're going to be doing this. I'm gonna VR into your area. We're gonna hologram each other. It's gonna be different. We'll still be talking to a camera, but it may not be YouTube in 15 years. I don't know. So I'm happy to pivot to the next thing. Just there hasn't been a legit next thing for long form video content.
Let me ask you one final question because you've been amazing. This is so good. I hope you guys listening to this are just catching Evan's depth and his years of experience. Not only he started this in 2009, which is amazing, right? Like. People stop early on. He keeps the discipline on. Like his whole world is about discipline, and I love that. Like that's a real factor. I said discipline is the key to your success. There's no question. Consistent discipline, though. So one of the things though that I'd love to talk to you about is because with YouTube, with social media, I mean everybody. Let's talk about the coaching, thought leadership space, right? Everybody's a coaching thought leader. Like how does someone stand out in your opinion? How does someone make something different? What's unique about someone to make them rise, the cream above the crop? In this space when everybody can do this in that platform.
This is where you actually have to be good at your thing and then showcase it. So, for you, the best thing would be coaching. Like if you had somebody, you're great at it. If you had somebody come on and you had a regular show, twice a week, 3 times a week, once a week, actually helping rewire somebody, that's not something that other people can do. Right? Not the way you can do it. That's unique. The sharing, here are 5 ways to rewire yourself, that makes it a little harder to stand out because anybody can share, not anybody, but people can get up and share those things. But it doesn't mean that you're actually good at doing it. You can talk, you can read a book, and not you, but like people could read a book and then say, here are the 5 ways to rewire yourself and make a great looking video around that. Cool. It doesn't mean that you can actually help me do it versus if you came on and actually did it, it's like, whoa, what did I just see? This is insane, right? This is crazy. True. So that's how you stand out, with the very, very strong caveat that you actually have to be good at the thing, right? So if I'm going to come on and do, if you talk about YouTube, like how have I stood out in YouTube? Cool. Like lots of people could make videos on how to how to rank in YouTube and how to make a great video and how to whatever. Where what I'll do most of the time is I'll just jam session with them, and I'll just tear apart for the achievers. I'll tear apart their channel and say, hey, this sucks, you fix this, and it works, right? And any question inside of YouTube in that world, I can answer and probably solve for other people, and that makes like the great content, but also the how I stand out inside the space. And so, for people who are watching, if you're trying to stand out on YouTube, if you're not good at the thing, then start to get good and start to practice and start to get your reps in so you can develop the skill that you're trying to get good at. But if you already are good, this is why I'm so passionate about getting people like you on. It's like, you're so good at the thing. And like, people need to know what is possible. And some of our mutual friends who also, aren't on YouTube yet. It's like, if people knew that a Randy Garn existed.
Oh my God.
Right? It's like, Randy, dude, we got to get you on YouTube. Are you kidding? Like, just the knowledge and the love and the expertise and a lot of our mutual friends like that. I'm deeply passionate about it because they are so good and they have so much to share and they are sharing. And Randy is pure love, but it's within a circle as opposed to with the world. And I want to get it out to the world.
Yeah, I love that. I love every aspect of that. Evan, where can people get more information? When does Momentum come out? How can we ever say thank you enough for all the wisdom that you've shared with us and all the help you've given us already?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, Momentum, the ebook drops first. It's probably going to drop by the time this episode comes out. But Amazon, easiest spot. Just look up Momentum or look up Evan Carmichael and you'll find it. And I'm Evan Carmichael on most platforms. Come by, say hi. And honestly, the best thing you can do for me is give some love on this show. It's hard getting this show up and getting it launched, getting off the ground. So wherever you're watching this, if it's YouTube or you're listening on iTunes or wherever, just go give it a like, give it a comment. Let us know what the show meant to you. And thanks for having me, man. It's been great to be here. No,
you're such a great individual, man. I wish you all the love and success because you deserve it. You shine with such beam and light, and I love having you here and love connecting with you every time I get a chance.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, man. There you have it. Rewire Your Life. Evan Carmichael. Do not miss him. Go find him. Go look him up. He will change the course of your life. He's one of the best that there is. Thank you guys for joining. I will see you on another episode. I'm Dr. Alok Trivedi, aka Dr. Rewire. Hey guys, if you like that video, click on the link over here and you're going to love the next video.